I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. '19 Maserati Levante.
GTS, the second fastest one.
So is it Maserati or Maserati?
I say Maserati, but it's probably very wrong. Let us know in the comments.
Maserati sports car. Horsepower and torque.
550 horsepower, 538 pound-feet of torque from a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8. And for you Europeans, since this is a European vehicle, 730 newton-meters of torque.
It's really fast and it sounds really good, and that's because it's a
Ferrari engine.
not Ferrari derived.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's not exactly a Ferrari engine, but it's built by Ferrari, and it's a cross-plane crank, not a flat-plane crank, which would go into the Ferrari version. Oh, and by the way, a lot of you guys are watching without subscribing, so just do us a favor, hit the subscribe button.
Only 2 videos per week, sometimes a 3rd bonus video.
Yeah, and a live video here and there.
So let's get into what Maserati is. It is owned by Chrysler Company.
It is owned by FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing because FCA can inject a lot of money into them, and they still have a relationship with Ferrari, obviously, so I think it's good overall.
That's like a win-win.
Yeah.
And right through Cliche Corner quickly, it's very fun. It's like very car-like.
Yeah, it is. And it also looks very car-like.
So let's start with the looks.
Do you like it?
I do sometimes. Sometimes I don't like it too much, but overall I think it looks great.
I do agree. I think it looks good overall. I think the front end is my favorite part.
So the front end of the Maserati looks like a Maserati, which is wicked, and every single person I've met is excited about the word Maserati.
Yeah, it sounds exotic because it is exotic.
And it looks exotic too.
Yeah.
So we've got that big front grille that kind of scoops in.
Yeah, and you said it had an underbite.
Yeah, it's the most underbitey car I've ever seen, where like the lower lip just comes out so much factory.
I didn't notice until you pointed it out, but now I can't unsee the underbite.
And then we got that cool Trident logo right in the middle.
Yes, we do, which also kind of looks like the Ukrainian Tizub.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's just a Toronto thing, but Ukrainians love to put the Ukrainian logo as a chrome badge next to whatever car they have. I think it's because it looks like a car symbol, but I don't know if that happens everywhere else or just Toronto, so let me know.
Let us know. Yuri's Ukrainian, by the way.
Okay, and now headlights.
The headlights look good. They're not too special, but the LEDs fit the car very well.
Yeah, daytime running light mode is much better than full on.
Yeah, and then they have these weird little fog lights too.
Yeah, it looks very angry from the front, which I think is a good look.
But it's like angry classy. Everything about this is still classy.
Oh, and what about the rear view?
The rear view is okay. I think my favorite part overall is the exhaust tips.
Yeah, they are 2019 real, so real tips with a fake exhaust behind it.
Exactly. So they don't look as bad as BMWs, like not even close. These are still very, very good.
And then the taillights are pretty nice. It's kind of a simple outline, but I think it's like that across Maserati for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And then people also commented that the Kia Stinger kind of copied Maserati because of that. So.
Oh, I haven't heard Kia Stinger yet. I heard RX-7, but
all right.
I'm sure Kia Stinger copied everyone.
I'm sure they did. Anything else about the rear end that you like?
The spoiler's got a couple little gaps in it.
Oh yeah, I did notice that. It looks pretty sporty. It's good.
And now to the most controversial part of the Levante is the side view.
The side view is the worst part of it for me. It's just, there's something about it that's not right.
I think I know what it is. I think it's not boxy enough. It looks kind of too long of a nose, and a car that's just been lifted up instead of it an SUV from the ground up.
Yeah, it looks like more of a car profile and everything overall than an SUV.
But nobody's really doing that.
No.
So there's room for that in the market of luxury SUVs, and I don't think it looks too bad. I think it just looks a little off.
Yeah, it's just different.
But from the rear 3/4 view, it actually looks very nice.
The 3/4 is better, but I prefer the front end.
But the rear 3/4 is better than the front 3/4.
Yes.
But overall, solid looking car.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got the little badge on the seat pillar, which I think looks really nice.
That is a luxury trademark.
And the only real body line from the side is over the rear wheel, and it looks pretty good. I think there's a lot of room for improvement.
Speaking of the wheels, I really like these wheels.
They're very nice.
They're so fitting for this vehicle.
And what kind of brakes do we have on them?
Maserati branded Brembos.
And then what is the Continental recommended tire?
The Continental Sport Contact 5.
And how about those fake vents on the fender?
Yeah, they look all right. It's a Maserati thing.
Yeah, because back in the day, cars used to put those for how many cylinders there were on each side. So if it was a V8, it'd be 4 and 4, V6, 3 and 3. But I guess now it just kind of stuck around.
Yeah, because this has 3 and 3, even though this has a V8.
And now that we're done with the looks, time for today's sponsor.
Vincero watches.
So you guys know we love Vincero watches. You hear the ads all the time, but today we've got a special thing for you.
We've got 20% off, limited time only, 24 hours, and then it goes down to 15% off.
So if you were waiting for a watch, now's the time.
This is the biggest sale that we can get you guys. So to get the 20% off, go to vincerowatches.com/SPJune. It's valid for the whole store and free worldwide shipping.
And now I want to talk about the interior a little bit.
Let's talk about the redness of it.
No, I want to. It is red, let's show it. But I want to talk about the infotainment and stuff because in somebody else's YouTube videos about Maseratis, I saw a lot of negative things. But I got in here and I was very pleasantly surprised because it's got a lot of Chrysler stuff in here.
Well, if you're used to FCA, you'll be used to this infotainment in a matter of minutes.
So it's got Uconnect, but it's branded with the Maserati logo. So we've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's got rewinding satellite radio, I think, because it's not enabled here, but the replay button is there.
Yeah.
And speaking of Apple CarPlay, this was so easy to set up. I plugged it in for the first time and it worked. No hooking up like a BMW or anything. It was the easiest infotainment to hook up Apple CarPlay to in the world.
All we want to do is plug in a phone and have it basically displayed on the screen, and it worked like that.
We're gonna plug in my phone for the first time in the Maserati and see if Apple CarPlay starts up. No tricks, no syncing, no Wi-Fi. Let's see what happens.
You got something on your
and
phone.
It's up.
Oh, wow, that was quick.
Everybody else, take notes from Maserati. Then we've got a reverse camera, a really, really good 360 camera, which makes it super easy to park.
I don't think the resolution's quite up there, but it's still quite clear.
Very accurate.
Yes.
That's the most important part. And the interesting part is we have this double scroll wheel to control it.
Yeah, it's the first time we've seen a double layered scroll wheel.
And it works kind of well. The screen is still touch, but the bottom one controls kind of where the thing goes on the screen. And then we've got a menu button, which will drop it down to the lower menu. And the top one is a volume knob.
And you always say if there's a scroll wheel, it's a luxury car. So maybe they just added that to prove that it's a luxury car.
I like it. The only thing that sucks is you can't move the scroll wheel up, down, left, right.
That's right.
But besides that, it gets the job done, but there's no tuning knob, which kind of sucks.
And speaking of no tuning knob, I think probably the cheapest part of this interior are the buttons.
The climate control or everything?
Just the climate control mostly.
Is it worse than the Alfa Romeo?
No, because that's also the same company essentially, sort of, all under FCA.
Yeah, it doesn't really bother me. As long as everything works, I don't think I'm rattled by anything.
Okay. And speaking of more cheap buttons, I think the steering wheel looks kind of cheap and the buttons on the steering wheel also feel kind of cheep.
I think what you want is piano black buttons, even though you'd complain about it being piano black.
No, not necessarily.
In a luxury car?
I just want like better fonts or something.
Yeah, I guess the Chrysler font is the Chrysler font, but the fonts in the gauge cluster are really nice.
Yeah, they are.
So it looks very fancy, and the gauge cluster is very simple. We've got our speed on the left, our tach on the right, nothing confusing at all.
I like how all of the numbers light up on the side. They have like little notches that light up. It's a really nice, classy touch.
And then in the middle, we've got pretty standard FCA gauges, like at the Trackhawk and like the Challenger and everything.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
But the only thing is, it doesn't show every digit in the speed. It'll skip them, unlike every single other FCA product.
Oh, that's funny.
And then next to our scroll wheel and our normal shifter, which works perfect, we've got a couple buttons for our sport mode, suspension, and a button for increased control and efficiency.
Yeah, I've never seen an ice button before.
Yeah, but it's nice because it does make it easier. Like, you don't have to always rip it in this car, and it'll help save gas if you're in that mode.
I definitely only drove this in sport mode.
Yeah, but you don't have to. It's not one of those cars that's forcing you to drive with the paddles the whole time.
It's not quite like an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio
No.
in terms of the feeling.
Exactly, and we'll get into that when you drive, but it's almost there, but not quite.
True.
But similar to the Alfa Romeo, we do have column-mounted paddles, and they're fan-friggin-tastic.
They are, but they feel a little bit smaller than the ones on the Alfa. Like, I feel like we were really spoiled by those ones.
That Alfa was perfect.
Those paddles are really nice, and so are these ones, though.
Okay, now let's get back into the redness of the whole interior.
Thank you! I love red interiors, and Maserati has spoiled me with this red.
It's pretty perfect in here.
It's on the dash. We have carbon fiber as well. And
3D carbon fiber.
It's like a dry carbon, like the actual texture. It looks pretty cool.
It's like what we had in the i8 and the M2 competition.
That's exactly it.
Another cool thing is when you go to your seat settings, it'll also change your radio station to your preset radio station.
I think that's the first time we've experienced that.
That's luxury.
It is cool.
Then we've got Alcantara on the headliner, a nice big sunroof, moonroof kind of thing.
It does look pretty classy, and let's check the visors. First Maserati visor test.
3, 2, 1.
Yes!
Okay.
Good job.
It slides back, but I have a complaint.
Oh, what's that?
See how this angle's up?
Oh, yeah!
It barely covers the sun once it starts getting lower.
It's still a pass, but
It's a pass, but there's a little bit of weirdness to it.
you guys got some fixing to do.
And then the cup holder, it will fit a small cup, perfectly fine, but you've got a little gripe with the cup holder area.
Yeah, so it's actually difficult to close it because this carbon fiber thing is like this massive latch thing.
I think they do that because part of the latch is the cup holder. See right here?
I see that, but they didn't
So
need
if
to do that.
they made it too easy, it would have closed on people's drink by mistake. I'm 100% fine with it.
I don't like it.
And how's the back seat room?
Pretty damn good.
And how about the seats?
Seats are super comfortable. They're sporty, but not too bolstered.
I really like the Maserati logo stitched into the headrest, but I've got a gripe with the headrest.
And that is an option.
If you pull the headrest forward, you feel your lumbar pull back.
I noticed that.
I don't understand why that happens like that.
I don't either.
I feel like a luxury car shouldn't, but
I feel like it's on like a big stick, like in the seat.
yeah, it's super weird.
It is.
But overall, love the seats, love everything in here. Your turn to drive.
All right, launch control.
Launch control.
Doesn't have it. I don't think it needs it.
No, it's really fast. Pretty much anywhere you are in the RPMs, it'll go.
There's like the slightest hint of turbo lag, but it's really nothing. It's just already fast because it's a V8, and then it just really kicks in and just keeps going.
And you can hear the turbo all the time.
Yeah, it's awesome. Especially when you roll down the windows, you just get these turbo spools, and yeah, it's awesome.
It was something I wouldn't expect, but I kind of do expect.
Yeah, a little bit. So this is the GTS. There is the Trofeo above this, which is even faster. I think that's 590 horsepower. I'm sure it's fun, but this is already like really good. I don't really think you need more than this.
Yeah, but I'm sure like that launch control will help.
I mean,
just enough if you're racing.
Yeah, so that one does have launch control, and it also has an additional, more aggressive mode. This one just has sport mode, and then it also has sport adjustment for the dampers. So when you put both of those into sport mode, this thing does firm up, but it's still very comfortable. And it is on air suspension, so we can raise or lower it with a button right here. And I'm going to test the suspension and the handling characteristics into cliche corner for a full luxury send. This is good. There's definitely body roll, but it just goes.
But have you noticed how oversteery it is?
I haven't really. I feel it to be really balanced. Like,
But
it's
the-
extremely well balanced.
No understeer.
No understeer, exactly.
No understeer is pretty much oversteer.
Well, no understeer is perfectly balanced.
So what I noticed, I was taking a left turn out of a driveway, and you sometimes you floor it in the car with traction on, see what it does, because usually it bogs down. This thing stuck the back out.
So it oversteered quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'm like, who lets you do that with traction fully on?
You know why?
Why?
Because this is mostly 100% rear wheel drive. Until it senses slip, then it sends power to the front.
It's just so perfect. Like if it was a Mercedes, it would have bogged down right away.
Yeah, so this has perfect 50-50 weight distribution for an SUV, and it's rear wheel drive until it senses slip. It's incredible. And another reason you were probably able to get it to step out sideways is because it has a limited slip differential in the rear. And I want to mention the steering as well. It's really, really light, and I wish it was a quicker steering ratio, which maybe is corrected on the Trofeo.
I had no issues with it. It is light, but it feels synthetically heavy when you're pushing it around a couple corners.
It almost feels luxurious, which is weird to
Yeah.
say, but it makes sense why it's in this and why it feels like that.
Oh, speaking of the steering wheel, did you notice that there are volume control and tuning buttons behind it?
I didn't because I was only using the paddles because I love these paddles so much.
Because it is Chrysler.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fiat Chrysler automobiles. Someone's gonna get upset that we keep calling it a Chrysler.
I don't know.
When
whatever.
we say Chrysler, we mean FCA.
I like the name Chrysler.
And let's floor it into talking about the exhaust, because this car is so fast and it sounds really good.
It sounds really good, but there's a reason we didn't start the video with the exhaust like we did in the Alfa Romeo.
Because it doesn't sound that crazy.
No, it doesn't have that when you upshift. It kind of sucks that there's no shift lights in this like there was in the Alfa Romeo Stelvio.
Yeah, so the Alfa has basically the same engine as this, but with 2 cylinders chopped off. It's that same Ferrari-derived engine.
But it's missing all that exhaust tuning and whatever.
But it has the proper amount of cylinders.
Yeah.
I think it sounds really good for what it is. It's a very classy exhaust note, which is, again, weird to say.
And that's why I can drive the car in the ICE mode, because it doesn't always force me to go faster and faster like the Alfa did.
Yeah, but it is a valved exhaust, so that's why I drive it in sport, because it does open up and it sounds a lot better in sport.
And speaking of driving slow, I did get stuck in rush hour traffic today, and I did use the highway assist, and it works oddly good.
Yeah, so this does have adaptive cruise and lane keep assist.
When it turns on, your whole thing goes green, so you know it's on, but you can only use it on highways. Like I was on an on-ramp, and I guess it didn't think that was the highway, so it turned off and then turned back on.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
And then it'll beep at you like right away, but if you keep both your hands on it, in stop and go rush hour traffic, it's not that bad.
And it's lane centering.
Yeah, but then there's no like lane keep assist that pulls you out right now.
Okay,
And
yeah.
if you were to cross this line,
Yeah.
nothing. But we do have blind spot monitoring, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's an SUV, you probably care about that kind of stuff. And when I'm looking out there, I look at my frameless windows. on an SUV.
Yeah, it makes it so luxurious. And unlike the Volvo SUV, which I hit my head on the top of the door frame, this I wouldn't have that issue because the window's down. I surprised myself. But if I got into a Volvo right after this, it'd probably be door right to the head right away.
Probably.
And what I like is that the back windows have like a bluish tint on them.
Yeah, it's very different. It's like old school what Mercedes used to do.
Like the old Lexus RX or whatever.
Yeah, that too. And back to how it drives and all that stuff. The suspension is actually really soft, like going over bumps is completely fine. The driving position itself is pretty low. I really like the driving position. It's not too low, not too high. It's right in the middle. And speaking of that exhaust note, which sounds really good, we also have a ZF 8-speed and it shifts really quick. It's that ZF that we know and love, shifts very quick, and it has those little farts up at the top every time you shift.
Barely.
It is barely, but it's definitely there.
Okay, now there's a couple things that I forgot to mention about the interior.
Number 1.
The box test. How do you say box test?
Oh yeah. Let's find out.
6, 7,
8, and the 9th doesn't fit. Sorry, Kevsky Pops.
Not too much room because of the slope, but I feel like you can still fit a whole bicycle in there.
It's almost like they went in between the coupe and regular SUV trend.
Yeah,
They split it right down the middle.
and that way they don't have to make two models.
Exactly, smart.
Okay, but in the trunk, instead of grocery bag hangers, we've got this strap on the side, and it's pretty much just as good as grocery bag hangers because you can just put your groceries in there and it pushes it right in. And then you were also pointing out this clock.
Yeah, the mark of every luxury vehicle is having an analog clock, and this one does have it.
Do you like it?
It's kind of too small.
I like it. I like the Maserati logo in it.
The logo is cool. Is it because you're Ukrainian?
Yeah, I need to put a trident on everything I own, every car. So with everything out of the way, let's get to the price of this luxury SUV.
This Italian automobile starts at $138,500.
And this is sitting at
$155,540.
Canadian.
Which is a very reasonable price. It's right up there with the Porsche Cayenne, which this competes directly with.
Considering the amount of prestige that comes up with the Maserati name, I think this is pretty much a steal. Because if you say you've got a Cayenne, nobody really cares. But if you say you have a Maserati, it's like, oh, you have a Maserati?
It sounds a lot more exotic, like way more.
Just everyone is more excited about you having a Maserati than they are about you having a Porsche.
Because Maserati is almost on the level of Ferrari, so people know them associated with each other. So it's that crazy level, like way above Porsche.
Even though it is Chrysler inside.
Exactly.
Like I even popped the hood at my mechanic and he's like, oh, I know these clips. I know those clips.
Yeah, those sensors, those are FCA.
So we saw some comments wanting more comparisons to other cars. This compared to the Alfa Romeo Stelvio.
I think I like that one more personally, but I understand the appeal of this one.
This is more luxurious. That's more for the driver.
Exactly.
Then how about this to, say, the X3M that we just drove?
This is bigger than the X3M, so it doesn't really compete with it. It would kind of compete with the X5M, but I still think I like this more.
That had only 40 less horsepower, but this feels like it has 100 more.
Pretty much.
It's way more exciting to drive, way more exciting to shift, and I would say more luxurious inside.
And we've also driven the Range Rover Sport SVR, and that thing sounded so incredible.
I think both of those are kind of tied, but this has Apple CarPlay where that one didn't.
All right.
And then this name carries a lot more than the Range Rover name.
It does carry quite a bit. Finally, we get to the Trackhawk. It doesn't directly compete with this, but it kind of does.
I think I would take this over a Trackhawk.
Really?
I mean, the Trackhawk is super cool, but the name just goes so far.
I think this is the Italian Trackhawk. I guess the Trofeo would be.
I'm okay with that. I think that's it. That's good. That's good.
I still like the Trackhawk more, but I'm not the market for this car, so I understand that. This has a lot more luxury appeal than the Trackhawk.
So let us know what you think of our first Maserati review and where this SUV falls in line with other luxury SUVs and even just fast SUVs.
Let us know which Maseratis you guys want to see next.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Check out patreon.com/straightpipes, join our YouTube membership, and check out Vincero watches.
20% off, baby.
24 hours, do it now.
Or in 23 hours.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. This is a subscription break. Don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe right now, subscribe. We didn't do that.